Okay. Go live?
Yep. And you start us off.
Hi, and welcome to the Prickly Pear Show, our special Tuesday night edition. I'm your co-host, Ellie Miron. With me is Ron Furman.
That is me.
That is you.
That is me. I like being with you on this show.
I think I like being with you on this show, too. No, I do like being with you on the show. Before we get going this evening, as we all know, our great city, recently went through a terrible, tragic terror experience. And so we want to just acknowledge the victims, the families, the city, the police, fire, paramedics, rescue efforts for everyone. Our thoughts and prayers are with everyone. I never thought I was going to say thoughts and prayers. Well, I know you've got a lot to say on this topic, and I think people have been itching to hear.
Have I been vocal? Have I been vocal about this? Well, before that, I don't want to take it away from the thoughts and prayers, because at the end of the day, that is really what we care about. That is really the thing that I want to talk about today. That I think people are giving more credit to the terrorist or mental health patient or whatever it may be, than they're giving credit to to really what's going on in this world. I think that they're trying to always push everything off, and that definitely bothers me.
Okay, and I mean, there's a lot. I know there's a lot on your mind. There's a lot on everyone's mind. I think it's important to speak clearly and really, it's a hard topic, right? This is going to be I think an important show, and it's going to be a unique show. Because we're going to really touch about something that not everyone agrees with, and that's okay. But I know that you've been expressing yourself.
Correct.
As is your right. As is your responsibility, I think, even. So
I know we're starting off a little bit slow.
It's a heavy
load. It's something that I didn't really want to talk about before, but I felt that it's a must.
Yeah.
Right now, we're not getting too many people on. I'm guessing it's because of the green screen, everything we're going through, and we're only able to broadcast through the Prickly Pear Show as opposed to online.
Right.
That's something that for the people to notice. Hopefully, we'll get everything settled up, and once we'll share it with our viewers. Maybe we're not going to get too many responses, but at least we'll be able to talk to them, and maybe we'll talk about this again in the future.
Right.
So first off, I was one that jumped up, maybe prematurely. I'll take some responsibility. Maybe it's due to my anxiety and my work in the mental health world. So anybody that comes out and says, "Oh, you don't understand mental illness, you don't understand this or that."
Right.
I think that's a load of because I totally understand it. But at the same time, if I went out and murdered people and people had sympathy for me, something must be said about it. So I'm talking even about myself.
Okay.
What I think the people are doing is that they're ignoring what's really going on out there. And what they're ignoring is that we have a serious problem on our hands, and it is the rise of terrorism around the world. Now, we're scared to use those words. We don't want to equate everything to terrorism. We don't want to, on a regular basis, when a terrorist attack happens, we right away go to, "Oh, he must have been a Muslim." But at the same time, we have to be also realistic that it is happening from specific regions, and it is due to fundamental ideas. And I think it needs to be shared.
Okay.
And today would be the perfect day to do that. Now, you can ask me questions.
Yeah, because
I have a lot to say.
You do have a lot to say,
and
it's funny because a lot of people normally say, "Hey, Ellie, you usually have a lot to say about something like this," and we've talked a little bit about it, off camera. I know, for instance, I want to sort of go back in time, a few months back when we had that horrific van attack, and it was interesting when I'd heard about what was happening then. I instinctively said, This is terror, right. in the true sense of the word.
It was terror.
But as in a planned attack, something that you would see and unfortunately we have seen around the world, like no different than a bombing somewhere or a stabbing attack or there
was no difference.
No.
Okay.
So it felt very, to me anyways, very clear that that's what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
This past weekend at the Danforth, when I heard about it.
By the way, since you touched upon it, you jumped right away.
No, I don't want to.
But I want to know, was it or was it not in your mind a terrorist attack?
This past weekend?
No, what happened before. So it was a terrorist attack. We just assumed there was someone from the Muslim community based on the 90% of terrorist attacks that are happening around the world.
Right. There's not too many popular terrorists named Steve Smith.
Right. Now,
that they're going to go down. I get that's where you're going.
In the United States of America, there are people who are a little bit trigger happy. And people in Europe who crazy people. There are crazy people everywhere.
Right.
But at the same time, one must understand that there's a reason why we're bringing it up. Because not only are we seeing the terrorist attacks happening, but we're hearing it and we're allowing it to roam free, unchallenged.
Okay, but
which we're going to get into it.
Yeah, you want to challenge it, but what I want, I guess, is leading you in that direction. Mm-hmm. I think it's safe to say that a lot of people felt, at least people that I spoke to, I should say, felt that with the van attack, that was very clearly a planned act of terrorism. There were fears that perhaps this is part of a larger scale operation. Correct. There was going to be, some other components going on to that.
So there's a reason for that, because ISIS. But there's a reason why people are scared.
Yes, because that's an encouraged tactic.
There are threats regularly that are happening.
Of course,
where ISIS is saying, and ISIS
should do this.
And ISIS is just another name for another terrorist organization, and there are probably about hundreds.
Right.
I could probably name 30 right now off the bat of my head.
Right, but what I'm getting at is, so juxtapose that with this past weekend.
Right.
Where, when I'd heard about it, and actually, again, weirdly, how I heard about it, much like the van attack, I heard about it from my relatives overseas in the Middle East, in Israel. I have family that lives there.
Oh, yeah, they called me too.
Yeah, like, what the heck's going on in your city?
Right.
What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what are you talking about? I was watching a movie. I was watching Casino, great movie. But let's not get off the point.
Do you watch?
It was nighttime. It was 10 o'clock at night.
What are you talking about?
Danforth?
Oh, the Danforth. Sorry, I thought you were still referring to the older attack. I apologize.
No.
My fault. Yes.
So I turn the channel and I look and I see what's going on. And they even had a screen grab already. So I was like, what are you talking about? And I see this thing unfold and I'm thinking, okay, shooting. Now, the other, I guess the thing that kind of maybe where my mindset was, and it's interesting because where your mindset, right away I saw you sort of, on Facebook, on social media, you were quick to point out and sort of call it out as you saw it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Than the average person, but not that quick. I waited until the next day.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, at that time, it felt like, we've been reading in the news a lot about gun violence and gang violence and in different parts of the city, and I thought, oh, crap, this is happening somewhere where I've gone and spent time. I don't want to put like a NIMBYism feeling on it, like not in my backyard, so I don't really think about it, but the reality is that, for better or worse, a lot of those recent gun events haven't been happening near where I live, so I'm aware of them, and maybe I'm not as connected to them. But here it suddenly had a bit of an impact on me. It's like, well, the Danforth, I go there, I frequent that, I've been there with my family, with my friends and my loved ones. So it was different in that way, but I didn't think this is a fundamentalist, terrorist connection. And I'm interested why or how you, even though you waited, it was in your thought process.
Correct.
So
I'll explain to you.
Yeah.
Once you're sort of in it, meaning in this world where you're seeing a lot of terrorist attacks happening, you're starting to see a specific trend. FYI, for everybody that's out there, when the attack happened with the person with the van, you're not going to see posts like this for me. If you go back, you're not going to see these types of posts. But you wonder, how come I said this? And the reason I said it...
And you pissed off a lot of people.
Listen, I pissed off a lot of people.
No, but you...
I got people saying, how could you jump the gun?
And
What are you saying?
And you did get people talking about it.
Right, absolutely. By the way, if you go on social media, you'll see a lot of different people's opinions who are saying the exact same thing around the same time. It's just on my Facebook page. Yes, I was getting people pissed off. Of course. But again, I watched... So I don't sleep at night. For those that don't know, I have a hard time sleeping. And I was looking at many, many different things online. And videos that people were posting of the event happening live with the shots. Then I saw the picture with the person, and I started to put two and two together. And I started to understand.
But when you put together, it was a guy dressed in black.
No. It was the way it was done. The way it was done. And again, based on things I saw in the past, it looked very familiar. Now, I may have jumped the gun. Now, I jumped the gun because I'm more involved in that world. And last month, in the city of Toronto, they celebrated El Quds Day. And El Quds Day, for those that don't know, in 1979, after the Shah was dismantled or got rid of in Iran, they decided to work with the Palestinians. The Iranian regime that came in, and sort of like have this Israel bashing, and it's been happening for about 40 years now. The difference is it was happening in places, in Arab countries, not necessarily in Europe or in America or Canada.
Right.
And yet this thing is happening every year here in the city of Toronto, but it's becoming worse and worse. Back in the day, meaning like about 10 years ago when they were celebrating something like that, you would never have a terrorist flag, people waving a terrorist flag. Mm-hmm. They would have maybe support of Palestine. They would have, certain things that they would say, but it was never to that extent.
Right.
And I watched this year's event, and literally was full of hatred, and it was happening in the city of Toronto, and they allowed it, and nobody made a big deal out of it. And that started to scare me, and I said, wow, that is opening the door for things that are way, way bigger than we've ever experienced here in Toronto. And when I saw this, I was like, well, look, this is a microcosm, in my opinion, of what is about to happen here. And every time new things started to unfold, and everything started to kind of fall in place for me. Mm-hmm. So I became more involved and more involved and more involved and more involved. And slowly but surely, the things that I was saying prior to this, you can call it my anxiety, you can call it my information, you can call it my pessimism. Call it whatever you want, doesn't matter. My job was to educate people about issues that we're dealing with here in Toronto when it comes to terrorism.
Right.
And not to ignore it. What pissed me off was the minute a statement was put out by the parents of the terrorist, and yeah, I'm going to call him a terrorist whether you want to agree with me or not, information's coming out, little by little we're seeing more. A person who acted, an act of terrorism, participated in it.
There's no question. So, and I guess, and then we'll come back to it. I think people might have an issue with the quote-unquote definition of a terrorist.
They can sit there. Look, define a Jew. Look, you can define anything you want in my books, and I think in many people's books.
This
was an act of
inflicted fear and terror.
Correct. And who did he hit? It wasn't like a specific target, meaning like, it was a hitman going. It was random, going out to the streets where he lived.
Right.
And everybody was like quick to push everything away, saying, Ron, we don't have enough information. But then the information started coming out. The information that started coming out was about the mental illness that this person had. And the nice, well-written letter by the parents who are from Pakistan. Look, this may sound like I'm a horrible person. My parents have lived here for 30 years. There was no way my parents were able to write that type of a letter so quickly, all right, and to talk about it. I think there was something there that they weren't letting you know about. Then they showed an interview with one of the good friends.
Wait, I want
to... Yeah, go ahead. You want to talk about it? Yeah.
So,
sorry, I'm getting a little bit
I know
too into it, okay?
Yeah, so just to follow the logic, I just want to help our viewers understand. Mm-hmm. You're suggesting some kind of premeditation even on the press release from the parents? Are you suggesting that the family was
I think they were waiting
on
for this. That we'll find out soon enough. And I don't think that it's just them in and out. I think there's so much more to be said. The guy had guns. This is a mental health person, a person suffering from mental health illness.
Right.
But he has guns in his house. Was in Afghanistan. Worked with terrorists in the past. I'm just trying to put the pieces together. I'm just trying to see where did this stem from? Why would he go out to Danforth and just shoot people? What? Because he has mental illness? Do you have any idea how many people with mental illness are on the streets right now? A lot.
Right.
Okay, but we don't see this every day. That means there needed to be some sort of a motive. And what scared me is when this thing with the Al-Quds that happened here in the city of Toronto, not somewhere in Europe, not somewhere in an Arab country, here in Toronto with a large Jewish population, I knew there was going to be something. The only thing in my, the puzzle that I was trying to put together, I didn't understand why Danforth. I didn't understand why they would be the target. It just didn't make sense. This person doesn't like Greeks, but I understood the person was from the neighborhood.
But he lives not far from them.
I didn't know where the person
He's not going to get on a...
exactly.
Get in a car.
Well, that started making sense.
Maybe he would, I don't know.
But what upset me was that people right away said, oh, mental illness. That's it. Listen, it happens. And they started talking more about mental illness, which is great. I'm happy people are talking about mental illness. That's amazing. That's fantastic. It's great for the cause. But you can't excuse it. And you can't just point, and there's more to the story.
Right, but okay, so the devil's advocate, if you will.
Please, everybody can play devil's advocate. But it's the best position to play. Go ahead, I'm all ears.
I guess, there's a lot of, listen, you're putting together some interesting points, no doubt, making me think, for sure.
Okay.
I hadn't really contemplated the timing, if you will, or the questions surrounding the timing that you were raising about the release of the letter from the family. I think whether it's how well it's crafted or not is irrelevant.
Did you see how long it took him to release the name of the person?
Well, they said, and I remember hearing something.
They didn't want the social media to
there would have a fear of an uproar. But okay, but hold on a second, just a second.
What's the difference between then and 24 hours later?
Time is important because time allows you to get information and to control the narrative. If you're the police, you want to control what's going on.
Right.
You don't want people to just act in whatever manner suits them. They don't want retaliation or who knows. We live in such a
retaliation against who?
What, a family? Maybe we don't want to jeopardize. We don't know.
What's the difference between 24 hours and that time? What's the difference?
A lot.
A lot?
Sure.
You think people will go out and start shooting his family?
Anything is possible.
So why not now?
No, because the idea is that perhaps that
I have the name now. I have the address. Right. I kept saying it over and over again.
It gives you the listen. I'm not a police officer. I would think from an intelligence. Yeah, I know.
I thought you were a police officer the whole time.
Well, only during my day job for 25 kids. I policed them.
Gotcha.
I think the idea is police investigations have a certain methodology, and there's a certain, you can't just jump into a situation. You're trying to understand, right? Nobody knows anything. Why did he do this? We still don't know the motive.
Was the Armenian name the guy who did the van?
The Manassian?
Yeah. How long did we receive the name? How long after? By the way, I was in my office and I launched and it was right away.
Probably not 24 hours.
It was right away.
So, but listen. So, there's been some speculation. For instance, last week, earlier in the week, or the previous week, in the downtown core, suddenly there was one day where police had, alerted that, hey, there's going to be a beefed up presence. We have some kind of unconfirmed, uncorroborated, or corroborated, whatever it was, threat. And so, but we're not going to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
But go about your business. But just be mindful that we're aware of something, and that's why you're going to see more of us out there.
Right.
To me, that's honestly going to scare you more than just saying, "Hey, stay away from this place," or whatever. But I think maybe some people have been drawing parallels. Well, maybe this was the event, and they just kind of had their wires crossed, and this is what we were sort of quote unquote waiting for that day.
Look,
or maybe he was planning something there, and then
bottom
suddenly,
line is this thing is happening everywhere around the world.
Yes,
we are no different, and for us to sit here and think that we're in Canada. Oh no, this thing is not going to happen here.
Right.
Is very naive, very ignorant, very dangerous, and we need to be talking about it now.
Yeah.
I'm not using this as a scare tactic. I'm not here to scare people. I'm here to give specific information.
But
my problem is that when I see people trying to always avoid it, trying to always protect the person, and again, I understand, we're liberals at heart, we care, we want the full story, and I'm with it. But what I try to do is jump the gun and talk about it, and at least maybe raise the issues. So now I'm able to talk about the things that are bothering me. Because in my opinion, this is an act of terror, and I had a feeling that it came from there. Now, even though information is coming out, people are still pushing that information. People still don't want to discuss it. People still say, I'll give you an example. Today, I think you have something for me.
Right.
I read in the paper, the Toronto Sun. I think it is one of Toronto's credible papers, right?
Sunshine Girl.
Again, I don't really read Canadian papers like the Toronto Sun, but when things like that pop up and I'm doing my Google search, they posted an article that said what?
Forgive me, audience, for lack of eye contact. I'm just reading the article here. It's from the Toronto Sun. The reporter Joe Warmington, that Ron is referring to, had given out some information, and according to his sources and his research, right away the family had released a statement to CBC News expressing their deepest condolences to victims and families, saying their son had struggled with severe mental health challenges. According to...
By the way, no one, just to put it out there, no one is dismissing that at all.
Right.
I'm not saying this person...
You're just saying you can't hide behind that?
Right, and I'm saying, everybody online who was, all of a sudden became a doctor. All of a sudden they're talking about, well, Ron, you don't understand the paranoia. You don't understand what he's really going through and what it could get somebody to do. I'm like, no, you're right, I don't. But do you have all the information for you to just get the gun?
So let me just
please,
some issues that we can talk about. So,
of course,
according to the sources in the article, police in Toronto, CSIS, which is our national spy organization based in Ottawa, the RCMP are looking into the man's past, which include a residency in Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Friendly countries, very friendly countries.
Yeah, but you know what? Listen,
when people go,
because we're having a bit of a debate and discussion, and I'm not entirely in disagreement with you, but I think that it's fair to sort of say, look, let's look at the other perspective. You know, I've worked with families whose lineage comes from Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Right. Why did they come here?
I think why does anyone emigrate somewhere? Hold on a second. No, just a second. Look.
Can you tell me that there's a difference between someone from France coming here and someone from Egypt? Can you tell me that there's a difference between them? Now, clearly they're coming for the same thing. They're coming here, for freedom and to have, opportunities and all that, but they're not coming here for the same thing, escaping the same thing. Someone from Africa.
Have you been to France lately?
Exactly my point.
Well, but
exactly what France has become. France has become those countries that we talk about.
Okay.
No, even as a joke you said it, but there's something to be said about it.
There's truth in jest, right?
I drove the other day with an Uber driver from Afghanistan, and we had a lovely conversation. Right. It was very nice, and he was telling me about certain things in Afghanistan and why he's here now. And telling me about how scary it is and all that.
But why are your parents here? They're from Russia, Ukraine. Why does anybody come here?
But there's a difference, and we need to be able to talk about it openly and freely.
There's nothing wrong to talk about it, but you're speculating as to why someone may or may not have come. Let's assume Let's assume for the moment the worst. Okay, this guy is here on a terror mission. He's part of a cell. He's a plant.
I'm not even going that route.
Well, but that might as well.
Could be. Here's a Canadian. Well,
he was radicalized.
Yeah.
Okay, he was radicalized.
But there's room for radicalization in Canada. That's really the problem. This is what I'm trying to talk about.
Okay.
That I'm saying that if you don't stop radicalization in Canada at this moment in time, it's going to become way, way, way worse. And by that time, we'll turn into France. We'll turn into England. We'll turn into Sweden. We'll turn into Belgium. We'll turn into Germany. You want me to continue going on with other countries that are affected by this now?
But
why?
No,
for freedom of speech. Not freedom, for politically correctness. To be nice about things. And don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with a Muslim person. I don't have a problem with anybody. I don't have an issue. My issue is with radicalization, that it's happening, and it's vibrant, and I've seen it firsthand happening at my university. Right. I've seen it as my job working for STEM with us in the United States. I've seen it all over, and of course on my trips. But my problem is that we're afraid to talk about it, and we're saying it's a non-issue.
I don't think we're saying it's a non-issue.
By not doing anything
Who's saying it's a non-issue?
I'll tell you why. No one's talking about it.
Who's not talking about it?
So have you talked about Al-Quds? You're a Jew.
Yeah.
Did you talk so we've known each other, and I don't remember at one point you talking about the Al-Quds Day that happened here in Toronto. Did we ever have a discussion about it? It affects you personally.
Right.
Why didn't we talk about it, you and I?
I don't know.
So when are we going to?
Couldn't get a word.
When are we going to talk about it? When something happens?
But okay,
No, but do you understand
what do you
what I'm saying?
want to? What is the discussion you want to have? The fact that there is an Al Quds Day happening here.
El Quds Day is just one part of a lot of things that are happening in the city.
Listen, if you're talking about hate speech,
Yeah.
if you're talking about violence
Right.
or call to arms against a particular group, race, religion, culture,
Right.
ethnicity, etc., none of that is okay anywhere ever.
Right.
Listen, we live in a country where people have the right to express themselves,
Absolutely.
for better or worse.
Absolutely, and I'm all about it.
We don't agree with the narrative. Wait, just a second.
But expressing yourself. You're saying no, but one second, because I'll tell you why. Expressing yourself is one thing, but if I'm expressing myself and saying I want to kill this person, that's no longer just a regular expression.
All right, you expressed yourself.
Well, yeah, I express myself.
You express yourself on social media.
Correct. Yeah.
You have a picture going on, collage.
Absolutely.
The world's greatest
Absolutely.
villains.
Correct.
And you threw this guy's picture right in the middle.
That's correct. He killed people, innocent people.
Right.
Yeah, he's
But
just as a villain to me as they are.
But you see the scale with which you compared Stalin, Hitler, who killed millions of people. Now, the numbers matter.
The numbers don't really matter.
Listen, the motivations are important.
Okay.
The narrative behind who this person is and what their beliefs were and the hate and the confusion and the whatever, okay?
Right.
It's important.
Right.
And it fueled his actions. No question.
Okay.
I can't put him on the same level. Wait.
They're not winning awards for who's the worst person.
It doesn't.
That's not the conversation.
No, but that's the conversation
If I write now, okay, let's play a game. Okay, this is how I like to do.
We do games.
No, yes, okay. I'm going to throw a name, and I want you to tell me how you feel about this.
Is this word association?
Yeah.
First thing that comes to mind.
How you feel about this person.
How I feel about this.
Ready? Okay, so I'm going to get started.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're playing the game.
Okay.
Paul Bernardo.
Evil.
Hitler. Evil. Stop.
Yeah, but
Stop. One raped a few girls. One murdered 20 million people.
Right.
If we're playing the numbers game,
it
doesn't come even near.
That's good.
However, you said the same evil.
No, look, I get what you're saying, but hold on a second. I get what you're saying.
Okay.
I get what you're saying. Okay. This guy is not. I don't even know the guy's name. I don't care to know his name because it's not worth me remembering him.
Right.
It's his actions.
By the way, when you mentioned the picture, what did the picture say? Because it's not just pictures.
Right. You're talking about the.
What did I say?
I don't remember.
I'll tell you what I said.
Yeah.
I said that they can't blame it on mental health.
Right.
No, that's what I'm saying. Because if you think about it, was Hitler a psychopath? Yes. Stalin a psychopath? Yes. He suffered from paranoia. Right? It's a known fact that Stalin suffered from paranoia. His paranoia ended up killing 20 million Ukrainians prior to even like during World War II for no reason. Oh, let's feel bad for him, guys. He had paranoia. Do you know what it's like living with paranoia? I live with paranoia. Look, the bottom line is I'm done making excuses for horrible people. Okay. I can talk about it and hopefully we can go out and say, look, we have a big problem here with mental health issues.
Right.
We need more support, but we cannot ignore when sick, demented people are going out there murdering innocents, and we're just trying to pass it along. We don't have all the information. It's funny how all these people who came out were saying, we don't have all the information. I said, you're right, you don't have all the information. But the minute information came out, well written from the parents, right away, and then they wrote the mental health thing. Right away, everybody's like, well, let's talk about mental health. Wait, you were not okay to talk about him being a terrorist 2 seconds ago. The parents put out a statement. By the way, what type of a statement did you expect the parents to say? We support our son while living in Canada who killed all these innocent people? They're not going to say that. That's ridiculous. No normal person living in this place, they have so much more to lose.
Okay, but
to come out with a different statement.
But you want to compare him to the martyrs in Israel, Palestinian terror. in the same breath, over there they're throwing candies and celebrating and naming streets and posters. That stuff goes up pretty fast, doesn't it?
But, but you mentioned something great.
Yeah.
They're in their own territories. If I saw a Palestinian living in Haifa putting out a candy, I'd put his fist across his face because he has a lot more to lose.
Okay.
And there are some people that do this, but they know that in Israel they can get away with it. But in Canada, if they open up their mouth like that, they would be deported. There's going to be more problems. Then I would love to see CARE and how they're going to. By the way, in my opinion, somebody from CARE helped them write that piece of news. It's very PC. The same thing with something else that happened when I told you about the Al-Quds. If you watch the beginning of the video, when you watch the beginning of the video, you know what they say? Love, justice, and peace.
Okay.
Do you know in the video where they use the word love and justice and peace? When they said like this, no justice, no peace. That's the only time those words came out.
Let me ask you something.
Yes, I'd love to hear your statement.
Would it have been better had the family not released the statement?
Well, they have to release a statement. Everybody's expecting to release a statement. They want to see what's the connection. How much do they know? That's why they interviewed the neighbors. That guy that says I was his mentor, how do I know that it's his mentor? Who said that it's his mentor? Right? We don't know. We don't have the information.
Okay, so that you're touching on a point. We don't know.
We don't know.
So there's a lot of information we don't have.
Correct.
And in part, I firmly believe that that's on purpose.
Right.
That's part of the investigation.
It's funny how you say on purpose because I see things on purpose.
No, hold on. On purpose in the sense of, again, that's part of procedure, right? Mm-hmm. Police is going to investigate. They're not going to tell you everything they know. Right. They don't need 3 million investigators helping them out with, false leads or whatever.
Right.
Why is this good cop?
Well, here's my question for you.
It's not about, there's a comment. Why is this good cop, bad cop show, Ophir, Jeff? It's not about good cop.
Look, if he's playing devil's advocate, then it's okay.
We're having a discussion.
I have no problem.
We're having a discussion, and I think, in fairness, if I don't disagree entirely with Ron. There's elements that, for sure, I haven't formed the opinion to that extent, or I'm unsure of what I think yet because I'm still processing the information. Mm-hmm. But at the end of it,
processing. Remember, we've discussed this.
Yeah. But the point is, if we're going to have a discussion, it bears to bring up points to discuss. Thinking outside the box, inside the box, not my thinking, shared thinking, whatever. If we're going to have a discussion, if we're going to try and contribute something, hopefully positively, to this tragedy, then I think we need to be aware of, or at least acknowledge, that there is another side to this argument. And we're not necessarily.
And I'm always open to discussion. I'm always open to dialogue. Even the stuff I write, I still back my stuff up. I still have a discussion. I still tell people when they're right, and I still admit when I'm wrong. Like I don't have a problem. I don't have this ego. My job on this earth is to be an advocate for the people, and sometimes in order for me to stand up, I have to stand up when it's least convenient.
I'm not saying.
This is when I make. And this is when I make.
Don't get me wrong. I applaud you for standing up. I'm not against you standing up. I think it's just an interesting. It's an interesting perspective that you're bringing to this issue.
Okay, which is
it's guns blazing out there like this. And you may be right. You may be wrong. I guess what I'm wondering is, yes, I'm a little more calculated and cautious in terms of saying. I say what I think.
By the way, most people are. So just to put it out there, I've been receiving a lot of private messages. People have come up to me and spoken to me. From both sides. From like, I can't believe you said this, to great job. It's exactly how I feel. I can't go out and say it.
Right.
I have no shame when it comes to this because I'm not running away from the truth.
No, you shouldn't be ashamed.
The truth is my friend, and I will do it. Now and again, I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I guarantee you that there are things that I might have said, for sure, that might be slightly off. But I'm still playing the game, and I'm trying to advocate my message. And this was supposed to start a conversation that's much bigger about terrorism in North America.
Okay.
And to say that, guys, we have a serious issue on our hand. Mm-hmm. If we're going to be blinded by it, we're going to become victims.
Right.
That's really what I wanted to bring up. And I think, and I've noticed, and this is why I called out the extreme liberals. This is why I put it out there. Because every opportunity that they get on a regular basis, now it's clearly not about specific individuals, but every opportunity most liberals get, they always try to defend their side always trying to remain center. But you can't. You're dealing with an ideology that is out there to murder. You're not going to convince anyone. I'm not talking about your average Joe Muhammad. I'm talking, and also, my problem is I also have a problem with Joe Muhammad. Because Joe Muhammad is not out there in the streets. He ran away from the same problems. That's why he came to Canada.
Okay. So is he expected to stand up and...
Yes, and say this is wrong. The same way that if I see it to a college...
So why don't we see
the same way when I see Jews that are saying the wrong things, I stand up.
Okay, so why don't we see that to the best of our knowledge?
Yeah, why don't we see that? Because it's not a part of society to bring their own people down. They're afraid of backlash.
But you have people that, who are clear, like, I'm thinking now, for example, of Iran.
Yeah.
And the history of Iran.
Right.
When the Shah was removed from power and the Ayatollahs took over and it became this Islamic state,
right.
You had a lot of Iranians seen as progressives, moderns, conservatives, whatever,
right.
that fled.
Right.
Because they knew it was death or worse.
Yep.
If such a thing was possible.
Right.
So you hear it and you've seen pocket groups of Iranians who identify themselves, actually, the ones I know, more proud to call themselves Persians, from their historical roots, that they speak out about, the evils of the regime. So people do it, but what are you saying? Are you saying that when it comes to terrorism,
I didn't say everybody.
We're not getting people
I think to say everybody, to generalize, I don't want to be that person. I'm not generalizing. But we're talking about more than 100 million fundamentalists that are out there. And I'm not talking about just people who are acting on it. I'm talking about people who are talking about it on a regular basis. And because we're not stopping them from saying it, we have become the problem.
So I want to ask you something. Are you saying that terrorism...
One more thing.
Are you saying that fundamentalist terrorism is here in Canada?
Yes, no question. And I can point out the mosques that it's happening at. Okay. If you really
I'm just asking. I'm not.
No question. No question.
So then your duty is to speak out against that.
My duty. My duty.
Duty.
Look, at the end of the day.
Well, that's you. You've taken that responsibility.
I've taken the responsibility because I have some knowledge. For those that want to call me uneducated about the Middle East conflict, you're a complete idiot. Because if you really want to come and talk to me, I have a chair next to me, and we'd love to have a conversation.
This is my chair.
Right, absolutely. But if you really want to have a discussion,
you can have my chair.
I know what's going on in my city. I've been involved in it for a very, very long time. Literally, the writing is on the wall. You see like swastikas and Stars of Davids, and it's happening in our neighborhood here.
Yes.
And I think that, yes, there are organizations out there and people that are standing up and that are showing awareness, like Simon Wiesenthal Center I see on a regular basis. Again, Stand With Us, Hasbara Fellowship, Sakshama, whoever, ZOA, they all go out and do.
Right.
But in my opinion, it's the average person that's always trying to say, look, I want to stay away from this. And my problem is the reason that the IDF is the IDF today, because if you were to describe a regular Jew, right? I mean, just describe a Jew, a guy with a computer, glasses, lawyer, doctor, like, the average. You're not going to think IDF soldier. We had to become soldiers. We had to not only become soldiers, be the best soldiers. And by doing so, become such great soldiers that we're trying to kill as least people as possible and protect our people.
Just a second. The IDF has a different role in this.
I'm talking about no.
But
I'm not. It's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
it's a survival thing. Hold on. Just a second. But hold on. Listen. That now you're going. So now you're veering a little bit on a political history course, right?
No, I am not.
The formation. Wait, just a second.
But the answer is no. So what do you want me to do? You want me to continue when you're saying no? I'm not going to political. I'm saying the Jews during the Holocaust and throughout entire history were never the combative people. They were the people that just wanted to stay away from everything, right? They were like, oh, these are the Zionist Jews. We're not connected to them.
Right.
And after 6 million
bear Jew.
After 6 million of their people died, right? Then they decided, wait a second, we can't live our life like this. We need a country.
Okay.
We need to protect ourselves.
Right.
So we're doing this. Now, how did we become this? Because we understood exactly what we're dealing with.
Yes, but that is...
We understood what we are fighting for. We will never let this happen again.
Right.
And now, I'm not fighting with my fists, and I'm not a soldier.
No, there's
my job is to be able to use my mouth or my pen or my
typewriter. That's fine. You have a typewriter?
Well, sort of keyboard.
Keyboard.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, I know. So, but like, it's okay. Let's bring this conversation back because it's going on a rant. There's interesting topics here, and it's worth exploring. So, we don't really truly know yet 100%. Fair to say, it has not yet been revealed that this idiot, this loon, is in fact a radicalized terrorist organization affiliated.
So here's my question to you.
Yeah.
And I've put it out there today with some people that I was going back and forth with. What do we know? Give me the information that we know, and then I'm going to ask you, how do we know?
No, look.
No. We said mental illness, right? We said it. Did we see the doctor? Did we see the piece of paper?
Do you need to?
Yeah. Well, that's I see. That's confidential. To say how he got the guns, how he went to Afghanistan, that's not. Right away, all we know is there was a letter that was put out.
But do we know
somebody said by the parents?
Listen, do we know that he did all these things? Do we know anything? Like knowledge, the narrative is being controlled.
Yeah.
Through media outlets, through the police, through the family, in their part, right? I mean, so there's different parties trying to control the narrative,
right?
If it turns out,
I like that you said that because
that's what it's about.
I haven't heard our Prime Minister speak on this. Now I've been watching this,
right,
and I haven't heard the Prime Minister come and talk. Now you're talking about people dying in
have we heard the Premier talk about it?
Well, we heard the Mayor come and talk. Yes, I saw Rob Ford put something out. Doug. I know I confused them. I saw Doug Ford put something out. Okay. But at the same time,
so he put something out. But I haven't heard the opposition members of Parliament. So not only the Prime Minister, I haven't heard a federal politician, to my knowledge, speak on the matter.
Doesn't that say something? And yet we're so quick to jump. Wait,
no,
but if it's Islamophobia, then we're going to come up with all these rules and talk about it. Don't do that.
Time out.
Yeah.
So a politician, trust them or not, a smart politician, thinks before he or she speaks.
Right.
Gathers the information, gathers the knowledge. The rest of them go on Sacha Baron Cohen's new show.
Love it. Okay.
Right?
By the way, if you haven't checked it out,
which is an
amazing show one day.
Yeah.
But just of Sacha Baron Cohen here.
Right.
Okay.
But so the idea is that, and I am not a fan of our Prime Minister.
Okay.
And in fact, I'm hoping he finds a new job next election.
Okay.
But
do I need to be bad cop now?
No.
Not for fear's sake. So.
No, that's okay.
By the way, I can't see what
the comments are a little bit frozen out. There's a lag, so we are. That's the big comment is there's a lag. We're trying something with the green screen, as you can see. There's the cactus behind us, so we're not sure if that technology or maybe we're having a bit of a Wi-Fi issue in the building, but hopefully.
Is someone saying we have an issue? There's an issue.
There's some commentary about the fact that it is lagging, so we apologize for that, and hopefully it'll become clearer in the replay.
That's awful.
It is awful.
Yeah.
But we're trying something new, but let's not lose sight. So you mentioned the lack of a federal response, and I'm saying as a whole, federal response hasn't crafted. And I'm wondering if again it becomes because it's still early. Let's find out what do we know, what have the police uncovered, and if we have to trust that our system works, and we have to trust that the politicians in power have our best interest. Again, I don't trust. Okay, just let me finish.
I don't trust.
The idea is that we live in a democracy. That sets us apart from the societies that you have referred to, the mindsets that you refer to. If we embrace these values, we need to allow our system and our elected and or unelected officials run through this. Just a second. The answer is no. We have to allow them the opportunity to track down what they know. Present the information. Now we can question it, and we should question it, and we must. That's part of the democracy. But I agree with you that the Prime Minister's silence is deafening, but so is a lot of politicians who aren't going to touch this with 100.
Of course not, because they need voters.
Right.
And there's a lot of people on the other side.
So again,
they don't want this to break out. They don't want this to be a big deal, but in reality,
it is a big deal.
It is a huge deal. Right. This is exactly what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is there's a lot of issues.
Canada is such an amazing place.
There's a lot of issues that a lot of people are silent on. Right. Not just. And then, we could call it other forms of terror or imminent threats. We could talk about. I'm just putting it out there.
Put it out there.
environmental threats.
Sure.
We're talking about the way we treat our First Nations communities.
Right.
The way we treat minorities or certain ethnic groups in around this country.
Right.
We're not perfect by any stretch.
Right.
We can't have.
We're talking about murdering people.
I understand.
That there's a little bit of a difference, though.
I'm trying to suggest.
You're putting a potato in a fruit salad, in my opinion. Seriously. You're putting a potato in a fruit salad, and you're saying, look, technically it is not. The potato does not belong in a fruit salad. Sorry, hands down. We're talking about murder. That is something we should be talking about right away when there are threats happening in our community.
Okay, but what do you want the Prime Minister to say? Will I condemn the horrific act? Do I need his thoughts and prayers? We started off with thoughts and prayers. And here's the thing, and I kind of mentioned that earlier, and it came out of my mouth, and I'm surprised that it did, and I guess it's somewhat habitual when we have these horrific acts of terror and murder. That there's always thoughts and prayers and thoughts. We don't need thoughts and prayers. We need gun control. We need proper laws. We need stronger background checks on people. We need we need consequences. Consequences. Thoughts and prayers are useless.
No, thoughts and prayers are not useless.
No,
they're showing that we're human.
No,
that's your opinion.
But okay,
that's your opinion.
So
I'll tell you what.
We're going to show that we're human. But then again, I will say that anyone who willfully, blatantly, calculatingly takes a gun and starts going and shooting innocent people is not human. That's not the code, right?
Right, that's right.
So those murderers and the evil, villains of history, all right, are in a way very much non-human, subhuman. They're an extreme outlier. The problem is there's so many of them. I don't know who the outlier is.
I want to just put it out there because now, since we're getting into this conversation, in your eyes, who is ISIS? Just again, you can even say a lot of
listen, no, it's.
So I'd like to know.
ISIS to me is a group of misfit, zealots. Started out in the Middle East, through the wonderful chaos of Iraq and surrounding areas that were these fundamentalist religious zealots, believers.
Do you know that most of them were educated in Europe and America?
Yeah.
And they're not like they're not people from that region. Many of them already live here, and they became more fundamentalist by living here.
I think it's finished.
Okay.
But go ahead.
No. You want to finish? Go ahead, finish.
Again, there's a foothold. There's this belief. This whole concept of know thine enemy, right? This embedding yourself in the sleeper cell, right? Why are you a sleeper cell? You're going about your business every day. Any good spy worth his or her salt knows the territory, knows the layout. They have a mission. There's a goal. There's an objective. And
what is the mission?
It's clearly to spread this caliphate and to have this. What I will say, barbaric form of rule of law and order and whatever, and chaos.
Right.
Because it satisfies their perverted views of Islam or the world or politics or finance or whatever, okay? Some of them are a lot smarter about the way they go about it. Yes, so they go and they get it. It doesn't surprise me they recruit. Listen, your strength in numbers.
Who are their recruits?
All kinds of people it's been.
Most people are coming from places like this who are educated, who are part of our system. Why? Because they're radical here, because they're allowed to be radical here. Because no one is slapping them on the wrist the same way that, for example, after Nazi Germany broke down, right, after World War II, that if you use the word Nazi or you do anything anti-Semitic, you go to jail.
Not anymore.
They put fear. Exactly. Because we become...
complacent?
Open to everything. Look, at the end of the day, freedom of speech, at the end of the day, people can do, and people will hit you on the hand for freedom of speech. But if you're murdered, they won't talk about you as much. I'm going to give you a story about York University, which I put up there. When I was at York, I dealt with a lot of
I was there when you were there.
Right, but when I was there, I was dealing with a lot of anti-Semites.
Same.
And a lot of people who were, haters of Israel or whatever it may be, and I would come out to
the good days
to defend, Very Hall, the Bear Pit, wherever it may be. I would have a discussion.
Yeah.
One day I went into this debate where debate. I had maybe 10 Arabs in my face yelling at me, and
that's weak, dude. I had 30.
Yeah, but I actually knew what I was saying.
Oh.
So basically, I put them in their spot. I have to give it to you because you cut me off for no reason to give me your story of York University. So here I am. Yeah. Put your head down. So here I am at York University having this battle with these people, and literally one by one, I shoot them down. Whatever you want to say,
Right.
Then there was this one guy who's smarter than the average, and comes up and he now started to have a nice dialogue and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Got to a point where we actually agreed.
Okay.
And I was stunned, and some of the Jewish people that were there in Hillel were stunned. Wow, it ended up very nice. People were giving me high fives. Everything was great.
Right.
And we even took a picture together. So there was an organization that started. We kind of started. I was involved in the beginning. I can't say that I'm one of the founders because I'm not, but I was there right at the beginning. It was called Shalom Salam. Because we believe in peace, because we as Jews, we hope that there will be people coming together. I mean, we're a college or university, and we want the betterment of every citizen in Canada. And I actually believe that there's a possibility of us maybe working together and not continuing to have radicalized conversations in very hall.
Okay.
So as I walk into Shalom Salam, like walking in kind of, hey, people know me, and I had a great conversation, I look on the wall, and I see the picture of me and that Egyptian guy that I was telling you about. Mm-hmm. However, his face looked normal, and mine had a target around it. Mm-hmm. And at the bottom it said, watch out for this guy. Because we were in their room.
Right.
Now, clearly I'm stunned, I'm taken back by it.
Sure.
Watch out for this guy? I thought we had a discussion, and I realized they're just there to appease us, to say the nice, lovely words. The peace, the justice, the love. They don't really mean it. They don't really mean it. Because what they're being taught here at the mosques, in their schools, is to hate and to play the game. And they play the game amazingly. I'm not playing that game. I know exactly what's going on. I know exactly where they're coming from. And I've had enough. And I'm the reason I'm here today and the reason I'm talking about it is because I want to let people know I'm for that change, and I'm calling a spade a spade, and I don't care. You're going to hate me, say whatever you want. I'm radical. I'm not radical. If you stop talking to me about murdering me and stop just blowing smoke up my what, then maybe we'll have a good rapport. Mm-hmm. But until that happens, you need to prove that it's going to happen. You need to prove by your actions. And I don't see any of these Arabs that we talked about before going to other rallies, supporting freedom. All I see them going out to the streets and going against not just Jews, but everybody. Again, Jews are because it's my world. This is what I care about. Clearly I care about everybody, but I'm a little bit more connected to the Jewish people.
Right.
But it's a much, much bigger thing than you and I even know about. I filmed a movie a while back called Protest, where we did about 40 different protests around the world. And many of them happened to be in Toronto at the time when I was living here. And there were these two leftist Jews that came out to the rally. Mm-hmm. And the way it was, and I don't understand why that happens in Toronto, but they put people on one side and this side, the cops are there. And even if, let's just say as a journalist, I want to walk from side to side, they have an issue with it. Like they won't allow you to.
The police.
The police, yeah. They're kind of like, no, pick a side. I'm like, I'm not on nobody's side. I just came to kind of check things out.
Right.
And there were these two Jews that were on the Palestinian side, holding flags. And I said to them, why are you here? Just as a question. It's like, well, we don't believe what Israel is doing. We're here to support all humans. But I'm like, you do realize there were Jewish people that were murdered, like, not long ago. And there was a rally, and I didn't see you there. So if you want to be that objective person for everybody, how come I only see you at the holding hands with the anti and not with the pro?
So what's your issue? That they're hiding behind the idea that I'm objective or I have my rights, and when they're really just sort of saying, look, this is what I believe. They don't want to come out and sort of say, I am an anti whatever.
I can lift, right? But you understand what I'm saying, right? This is my Italian move.
Okay.
This is what it is. And it's happening all the time.
But that's human nature.
No. What do you mean it's human nature? It's okay, so human nature.
But you're saying, like, because they're not willing to expose themselves
do you know what they said to me? Because it was an answer, because I asked them.
Oh, okay.
That if they would be caught coming to our rally, they wouldn't be welcomed in their rally.
Okay.
You understand? They wouldn't be welcomed. Why? Because on our side, we don't play this game. Also something that happened, like just to tell you about, our amazing city. I came as a journalist. I came to film. I had zero opinions. I asked questions. I never even delivered any of my opinion. Right. It was merely for asking questions. It was very, very hard. Clearly, I wanted to express myself, but something happened. Right. And so I walked and I was on the Arab side, just standing there filming them, asking questions, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody recognized me from the Jewish side, and they called out my name. And I was trying to ignore them. Right. But the cop was like, hey, she's calling you. So I waved hello to her. He's like, sorry, you have to go to her. Like, I'm not with her. He's like, clearly you are, go. And he put me with the Jews. And I was trying to be in the center. Mm. So now I'm standing there with the Jews after I just interviewed the Arabs. And I'm filming, and the Arab guys, you traitor, mother effer, and blah, blah, blah. We're going to kill you. And I'm filming this entire thing. People with, like, ninja, like on their face. All you see is their evil eyes. Right. Yelling at me, telling me they're going to murder me. Mm-hmm. I lost my cool. Because, you push the buttons, I'll retaliate for sure. So I went back and I said, let's do this. Let's pick a corner, all three of you. I'm going to deal with you right now. And clearly I said a little bit more than just that. I wasn't as PC. Mm. And I said, I'll deal with you. And I wasn't afraid. I realized if it's going to go down that route, I'm there. What did they do? They called a police officer and tell him that I just threatened them. The police officer grabs me and pulls me back and wants to take me to his car. I go, what are you doing? He's like, oh, you can't be threatening them. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was defending myself. They were just threatening me. He's like, no, I saw you. And I was like, no, actually, I'm a cameraman. I was filming the whole thing. Here, let me show you the footage. And I was about to show him the footage, and the three people ran away. Mm-hmm. I go, officer, they're leaving. Do you know what he says to me? What are you going to do, run after them? My friend, there is an issue here that's happening. When it's on there's a double standard that is going on, and we're not talking about it. If Jewish people went out and said something right now about, or had a rally about anti-Islam, anti-Palestine, or anti-any of this, do you have any idea what would happen to our community? Do you have any idea? The Jews will come out and scream. Yeah, but when it's happening on the other side, don't want to say anything. Just like the Al-Quds. And again, the other day, somebody who I was arguing with online, I sent her the video, and I tell her, please tell me what you saw in the video. Right. And it was like Arabs again screaming against Israel, blah, 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 and she goes, it's a rally against terrorism. So they claim that, again, the narrative changed. Israel is a terrorist. Israel is the terrorist country. Not them, the terrorists who are clearly doing everything possible. Right now, kites, with fire burning and killing animals. And bomb exploding, not just in that region, but everywhere around. Right. You pick any Muslim country and see exactly what's going on. You go to Europe and see it. It surprises me that we're so naive. For 7 years. Stop! Then we have to stop. Okay. That's what I'm here for. Uh-huh. Enough with this narrative of like having just, okay, this is it, and we just accept it. No more accepting this. I'm sorry. No more. And I've been saying this for a very long time. Everybody just saying, oh, it's not going to get here. It's not going to here. Yeah, it's slowly here. We're allowing it to happen because we're giving the other side a lot more weapons. What are the weapons? Allowing them to be who they are. Allowing them to spew that garbage, on this, and using freedom of speech as something that carries them on.
So what should we be?
What should we be? Mm-hmm. Watch these people. I'm for allowing immigrants to come into the country once that we've done enough research to find out information about them. Oh, Brian, but that's not fair. Questioning somebody from Pakistan or questioning somebody from Israel. Yeah, I'm sorry. This person worked for Intel, has been paying his dues and doing all that, and this person has possibly worked for some sort of terrorist organization.
Gathering intel.
Sorry?
Gathering
intel. Very good. Very good. Right? We need to. I'm sorry, we need to. It's understandable. And you know what? I have nothing to hide. You want to do research about me? You want to find out information about me? What do I have to hide? I have nothing to hide.
Yeah, but I don't know how many people are comfortable with that idea, Ron.
I don't care about comfortable. The reason I made this
you're
what's comfortable? Just
permission to speak. Right?
Yeah, but you're saying comfortable. What is comfortable? Talk. Sorry. This gets me a little bit routed up. I apologize.
It's a good show, huh?
There's not too much funny today, ladies and gentlemen, and I apologize for that.
No,
but
it's not
clearly, this is
what I
something.
want to say is like,
Yep.
I don't entirely disagree with what you're saying,
Okay.
but there are parts of your position
Mm-hmm.
that I'm questioning.
Like.
If we pride ourselves on having an open society, a tolerant society,
Mm-hmm.
a welcoming, multicultural. Nope, just a second. That's been the narrative of Canada. Nope, you don't get to talk yet. My turn. Canada has historically, tried to mold itself as being open. We welcome people from diverse backgrounds, ethnicities, races, cultures, nations.
Right.
We embrace the differences. At least we'd like to think so. Okay, I'm not saying we're perfect. Let's be very clear. We are not perfect.
Okay.
But we have somewhat of a reputation, or at least we've tried to mold that narrative.
Okay.
Okay. I agree that the reality on the ground has changed significantly from those early days of Confederation to the centennial celebrations to peace, order, and good government, the early Trudeauisms, talking about his dad, not this moron that's in charge, and so on and so forth. I get that history and society has changed and evolved, but the values behind the maple leaf that I think most average Joe Canada embrace is that we do have these rights and these freedoms.
You believe the horse shit that you're experiencing?
Why is this
right?
horse shit?
You actually believe, like everything you're saying right now, you really believe. I'll take you on a little ride, Ellie.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not that
no,
tired.
Look,
Why? Because
it starts to smell. The
It's-
bullshit is already like.
Why is this bullshit?
I'll explain to you why.
why is it bullshit?
I'll explain.
No,
to you.
no.
I'm calling you out, and I'll tell you why.
I'm not done. So wait till I'm finished. then you call me
Because
out.
you've given all these things that are not true.
What means not true?
St. Louis.
Why did you come to this country?
St. Louis. Does that tell you something? When I come to this country?
Yeah.
My friend, we worked hard. We didn't come as refugees to this country. My dad.
What do you think you came here as?
My dad.
On a silver
Are
platter?
you serious right now?
Are you
we came here
serious?
as refugees from what? We didn't come here as refugees.
Where did you leave from?
Israel.
Why?
Why did I leave? Not as refugees. My dad paid $10,000 to try and get a visa.
Why?
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 Why did he come here?
Yes.
For a nice country.
Oh.
No, what does that have to do
For
with
the
it?
open society,
What
for
is
the
that?
welcoming nature of saying, I'm
You paid your dues to get here.
There's nothing wrong with
What's
what you
the-
paid to
What's
come
the
here.
difference? You're acting as if they all
Because you paid
everybody.
for it, they owe you something now?
No, it doesn't mean nobody gave us anything.
No matter about giving anything. Listen, my family came here to escape persecution. Time out. Sit back for a
We
second.
didn't escape
My
any
turn.
persecution. We didn't escape any persecution.
All right, listen.
What persecution did your family escape? What persecution? Your parents came from Israel. What persecution?
My family came from the Soviet Union.
To where? To here?
Ultimately, yeah.
I thought you said from Israel.
Through Israel.
What do you mean, through Israel? They came from Israel.
No.
And got
my
here.
mother and her parents and her relatives
Yeah.
on my mother's side came from the Soviet Union.
To?
Ultimately to Israel.
To Israel.
Israel, they ultimately settled here.
Right, so they moved here after going to Israel.
They were there for about less than a year.
Okay, so fine.
So they
it was
lived
like
here.
it was transit. Okay, it was like in between.
Transit.
Okay. Mhm.
The ultimate destination.
Right.
The West.
So what did they do? Play the card of like we're Russians and we're escaping what's happening in Russia?
No.
What card did they play? I'm curious to know what card did they play to get here.
Do we need?
It's important. I mean, you brought up that. You
At
told
the
me how much
time,
it's been there.
listen. At the time,
Mhm.
the general feeling of the
Mhm.
Soviet Union, specifically as it relates to the Jews,
Mhm.
has never been a welcoming society.
Correct.
They've been Jews first,
Correct.
always first and foremost,
Correct.
even in their paperwork.
Correct.
You're a Jew, then maybe we'll think of you as a Russian.
Correct.
Or you're a Jew that can speak Russian.
Correct.
Good for you.
Mhm.
They never were misidentified in that way.
Mhm.
Nobody's, to my knowledge, no, I'm not saying I experienced anti-Semitism.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but nobody came here and saying, "Well, what are you? Who are you?" They don't ask, and for the most part,
Mhm.
we don't.
Do you
We
believe-
don't ask. Are you?
Do you
are
believe, do you
wait, I'm
believe
not
that
done.
something worked and it's not working anymore because of the situation? For example, there was a point in time where you were allowed to go on a plane and have water.
You can have a cigarette.
You can have anything you want. And then all of a sudden they're like, no.
You can't bring your shit.
There was one terrorist situation that happened in England, so now we have to stop it.
I'm not
is it inconvenient?
I'm not oblivious to the fact that the world has changed.
Right.
But what I'm saying is
But you said that there...
I haven't been able to say anything. So if you'll allow me a few moments of our show's time, I'd just like to present you with the other option of saying that our Canadian country has been historically a desirable place to come and live because of its openness.
When? What years? Can you give me when it started? I'm just curious. Just for history's thing.
All right. Well, I'm specifically referencing the mid to late 60s and 70s.
Mid to late 60s. Not that long ago.
No.
Not that long ago.
No.
Right. Okay.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah. How about the 40s? How about the 40s? Were the eyes open? Ladies and gentlemen, the answer is no.
No, I know they're not.
Good. Okay.
So, I know nothing's too many. I'm aware of nothing's too many.
So meaning there has been a change.
Yeah, I'm aware. Listen, right. I'm not. Listen, but you're conflating. You're conflating the, let's call it, I'm going to say it now, the Jewish problem, the Jewish history, right? The Jewish problem in terms of...
From my perspective.
That's your perspective.
I'm thinking from my perspective. Yeah, it's my world. Yeah.
Okay. But the world is not just Jews.
Correct, absolutely.
And Canada is not just Jews.
Right.
We accept everybody.
Right.
Okay.
That's a problem.
I don't know that it is.
That is a huge problem.
I don't know that it is.
Again, I'm not saying a specific race do not name, a specific religion do not know.
But that's the slope. That's the slope you want.
No, that's the slope you are taking me on.
No, that's the slope. If you start when you start doing intensive background checks from selective nation states, ethnicities,
do it from everybody. Do it from everybody, not just those countries. Do it from everybody. Hello, I lived in the States. Do you know the process I had to go through as a Canadian coming to the States? Fingerprints 15 times going on, checks, blah blah. Why? I'm Canadian, man.
Right.
I'm the buddy up north. I'm America's hat.
How much did it cost you?
Oh, and I had to pay to go through that process.
Yeah.
And you know what? I never complained. Do you know why I never complained?
Because you had nothing to hide.
Exactly.
Okay.
So those that have nothing to hide, what are you complaining about? Inconvenience? It's inconvenient for me to walk in the airport and not bring water. However, by the way, do you know what? Why the water situation is still going on, even though they know that water is not going to do anything? Do you know why?
No, Ron, why?
Why? Because they're able to make money off of you at the airport.
Well, of course.
No, but that's the reason. So it had nothing to do with safety and security.
Right.
It has all to do with how to be able to get more money for the people.
It's all about making a quick buck.
Absolutely. And you know what? I don't live in a world, in my opinion at least, where I care just about making that quick buck. My safety and security is more important than that quick buck.
Okay.
And that's to me. The problem is we're being fed this bullshit.
Okay.
Sorry, I went bullshit. We're fed this on a regular basis with a spoon. Someone's feeding us, and I'm not eating it.
Security and safety come at a cost. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't disagree. I remember speaking with my relatives who lived in Israel, and I remember going to the mall. And there's a guy, and he stops you before you even get into the parking lot. Open up your car.
Why do we call that checkpoint, by the way? Because they call it checkpoint everywhere else.
Right.
Why do we call that checkpoint?
So the idea. I remember when my relatives came to visit here, and we went to whatever mall, and they're like, "Well, what is this? And we can just walk in here, like no problem, and this and that." And I was like, "Yeah, And so there is that. Listen, there is that. Again, it's a product of your experiences, your culture, your reality on the ground. Okay. So I'm not disagreeing with you that the reality on the ground, as far as the world, global terror and security has drastically and dramatically changed and continues to shift regularly.
Right.
You won't get an argument from me about that.
Oh, I won't, because I thought you were saying it's a slippery slope.
No, but what I'm saying is, again, we can't paint everyone in the same brush. It's not.
What do you mean we can't? You're telling me that we can't have
because hold on a second. That we are all infidels and non-believers, right? To the extremist zealots out there, to the ISIS folk, right? We're all the same garbage, worthless. The Jews maybe get an extra special prize for being super special.
This thing that I was pointing out before,
right?
Okay.
That's not for discussion.
Okay.
That's a given.
Okay.
Okay. But in our open society that sets us apart
Mm-hmm.
from those animals, people who will kill and murder and maim for a perverted belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Again, animals is probably not even a good word for them.
No, because I love animals.
Okay. But the point is, those beings
Mm-hmm.
are not part of our way of life, our
Mhm.
accepted way of life,
Mm-hmm.
right? We want to separate ourselves ideologically and
But
legally.
we're not killing anyone.
No. But what second is we will defend our rights and our beliefs in the way that we see fit. We're not going to go around exterminating people and firing squads and we don't do that. That's not the way.
I don't even know where you're going with this.
What I'm trying to tell you about, just a second,
Mm-hmm.
is if you totally cave in to that fear and you play into the hands of their narrative and you don't try and change the narrative in terms of leading by example, believing and following, your words have actions as well. You can't just, we're going to check everybody and then it's okay. I don't think that's the way I want to live like that.
I know you don't want to live like
No,
that.
I
don't want to live in fear going to Danforth. I don't
And
want
you
to.
shouldn't.
But that's the reality. But let's stop since I gave you your 5 minutes.
Thanks.
If I may.
The other hour and 7 have been all yours.
This was my topic, and we had other things to bring up, and this was something.
By the way, next week we'll be live on Sunday at a regular time. Tune in to the Prickly Pear Show.
Well, there's going to be more jokes, but
I don't know. One of the jokes might be I might not be here. I don't know. We'll see if you'll let me back in the room.
Again, it's all discussion. But anyways, we're evolving, and things are changing. And the good thing is, and I hate to say it's good, but we can just kind of look over the Atlantic and say, what the hell's going on over there?
Mm-hmm.
Because Europe said we're the same way.
Right.
Europe said, open doors. Let's allow everybody in. And what's happening right now? People are becoming real extremists, like Poland, right? Saying, no, we're not allowing anybody.
Right.
I don't want to be that person. I don't need to be Poland, but I don't want to be France.
But it's not that, again,
I want to be someone...
The step to getting to Poland's position, I'm not trying to justify them in any way, but their position was not an unfathomable one. And it was not one that you shouldn't be surprised.
Right.
And you really shouldn't be surprised, historically speaking.
Right.
Okay. But again, that's part of the slippery slope that I'm talking about. You'll go from we're going to let in just a little to we'll let in this many to that sliver gets smaller and smaller. And again, there are people who feel like perhaps there is this moral obligation to step up for those who can't. Right? So
I'm not saying not to allow people to come here. That is not what
you can't have one process.
What do you mean?
For everyone and universally, it's got to adapt. It's got to change.
When you apply for a job,
do
people say, "Oh, what's the reputation of this person? Oh, he went to Harvard."
Right.
And this person, oh, he went to some sort of community college up in Iowa. Right.
Right.
The system is not fair for everybody.
Right.
We know that if you come from this type of country, you're treated a little bit different. Now, he could have been the biggest loser or the dumbest guy from Harvard, but something to be said about Harvard. Now, you still need to do the investigation, still interview him, still go through the process, right? But then you can't treat everybody the same.
I'm not saying treat everybody the same.
What I'm saying,
you're saying treat everybody the same.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying
you're saying everybody has the same check. Everyone has the same balance. It doesn't work that way.
I don't see that as a problem. Do they treat you, when you go to the airport?
Yeah.
Do they treat you different than they treat me?
I don't know.
No. The answer is no.
Probably.
No. The answer is no. The answer is we both go through the same line. If they suspect me more, maybe they'll send me to a different line. But I still go through the same process. Why? Because if they suspect you, then you will join the other process. But there's a process at hand. Now, I'm not trying to cause fear. That's not what I'm trying to do. And a lot of people are putting it out there. I'm saying, this is happening. Forget me causing fear. That person shooting people in the streets, that should be getting you to stand up and go, what the hell is going on? Not Ron Furman, sorry, I'm using myself as a third person, that's coming out and writing something online that's really getting everybody going all crazy. Because what I'm trying to say is something is not happening, and if we allow things, that's a slippery slope, FYI. If we allow things to be like, they just said something. They didn't really act on it. Or they just allowed some guy to go out and say, we want to murder these specific people. Oh, we're going to bring, Hezbollah and Hamas flags out to the streets of Toronto. Mm-hmm. Well, if we don't do anything about this, that's when we're going to create a lot more problems. And by then, what is France doing right now? What is England doing right now? What is Berlin? And you know what the funny part is about all these places, which drives me insane? Even though they're seeing everything, they still have the audacity to point the fingers at other people.
Well, do as I say, not as I do.
All right, Dad.
No, but that's
no. But the point is that still, why? Because you can't fix stupid. You just can't.
I agree.
You can't, and I'm not stupid. And you can call me by names. Again, as I said, I don't care. Say whatever it is that you want. I know myself. I know I love people. I know I want the safety and security. I've never walked down the street and thought I want to murder anyone.
Right.
Never have I done anything like this. Mm. Right? Maybe my ideas are a little bit more extreme than others, but it's okay. I'm not going to agree with everybody on everything.
Right.
But the bottom line is, the reason I speak out right now is because I want to see change. I want to see somebody recognizing, look, we're getting to a point where there's a possibility of more terrorist attacks happening in Toronto. We should take some of these threats seriously.
I don't disagree with you. The problem is that we're seeing also patterns where people are manipulating and playing off of the fears of the possibility of this unknown.
You'll have that, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the problem, Ron. That's the problem. Look at our friends to the south. Mm-hmm. Look at what's going on there.
Right.
They're completely in a state of disarray and reaction.
Right.
And they're thinking that they're being preemptive in some ways.
Mm-hmm, they are.
I don't know that they are.
So
I think it's all reactive.
As somebody that lived there,
right?
And
I visited enough.
So and lived in New York too, right? And saw all that stuff. They're ready for it because they've experienced it.
No, so but there's a difference. But there's a difference when you talk. But I'm saying the security apparatus of we know we had this horrific incident here, so we need to bolster and beef up the security, and we have to have a new way of doing things. That makes total sense. Okay, but I'm talking about where you open the Pandora's box and you letting the nut bars run the asylum. That's what's happening.
I don't want the nut bars.
But that's what's happening.
So
when you paint people with that brush under the guise, it's for security, it's for safety. Well,
I still think we need to be responsible. Again, I'm not...
Okay, but the problem is that there are a lot of irresponsible, uneducated, and it's reactive.
Right, understand.
And it comes from the fear.
So learn from it.
It plays off the fear.
So learn from it.
Okay, but you're asking people to learn, and they don't have the proper teachers, Ron, like yourself.
No, again, it's not the point. The point is...
That is the point.
No, what I'm trying to say is we have to be proactive, definitely not reactive. Okay. This is actually this is the perfect opportunity.
This is the
perfect opportunity to be proactive and say, look,
okay,
what if this thing happens again? Because, by the way, from the information, we still haven't gone to the information. The information we got was that the police was already there before. The police already knew.
The police were there, from what we understand, the police were there in general as part of a bolstered effort to have more officers on patrol, period.
No.
There was no explicit, they did not say, to my understanding, unless you've got different information.
Yeah. I think we're talking about two different things, but go ahead.
You're talking about being in the Danforth.
No. The person's house. That they were at the person's house before.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry.
I knew that you were going the right way.
Okay. Well.
They were at the person's house before. They knew of a certain activities.
He was known to...
But he had mental health issues.
Right.
Why would someone with mental health issues own guns? We in Canada have such strict rules about getting guns. FYI, I don't have a gun. I don't have a gun license. I don't need one.
Right.
So someone with mental health issues, and he has guns, 10 of them from the story that I got, again, the information I'm getting, the same way I've never seen his mental health certificate, and I've never seen the 10 guns. I'm going by things I heard, so clearly you can't grab me by everything that I say. But apparently there were 10 guns, right? And the parents came out with a statement. It's a complete shock. We have no idea. The other person, he was smiling. He seemed like a very nice guy. Me and him were very close friends.
The serial killer is always a nice guy.
We're always trying to push things away and not deal with the real issues. And the problem is this will disappear and we'll move on and it's great and we won't talk about it again until the next attack. Right. But the problem is, right now you have cells that are happening within Toronto, in Canada, and we're not doing anything about it. Now, we might do things about it that I don't know. I don't work for the government. I don't work for the RCMP. I don't work for police.
Right.
I don't know. But I do know that when things are out in public, no one is doing anything about it. And by the way, by me giving, when we started off, the story about the El Quds Day, that's just one example that happened a month ago here in our city. If you ever gone to an anti-Israel rally that happens on a regular basis, if you hear the type of stuff that they're spewing and the signs that they have,
Right.
no, we're allowing these people to have the freedom of speech to hurt us. They're using our system against us. And again, I'm not saying they, everybody. Please, let's make it clear. I'm not talking about they.
Even
I'm
in
talking
Israel,
about the
they
people
allow
that come out. Yeah. Wrong. I have a problem. I have a problem with that too.
But that's what, again, that's partly what sets, that's that moral compass that set them apart.
No,
That I'm going to embrace your right to have this ridiculous.
There needs to be a line.
view.
There needs to be.
There is a line.
No, there is no line.
In Israel, there's a line.
No, there is no line actually. No, there is really no line. If you see some of the stuff that's happening, even there,
Right.
there is no line. The line is.
So then we curb all the speech.
No. See, that's the thing. There's no reason to go to the other extreme. You know, let's find the middle ground. Let's look at it. What is considered hate speech and what is considered free speech, and they need to be two different things. Okay. Now, a lot of people would say, "Ron, you can't really do this. It's a fine line." Look, you must, because these are dangerous times that we're in. This is not back in the day. And you know what? Again, 70 years ago, we had a World War II where so many people died. We have to get with the times. We're no longer post, World War II. We're working towards World War III.
Right.
We're dealing with new enemies, and we can't be the same people we were yesterday. We have to grow.
I agree.
Now,
we should evolve.
We should evolve. In the same way, our tactics need to be evolved. The freedom of speech laws need to be evolved. Of what is hate, again, what is hate speech and what is freedom.
Okay.
I remember...
But when you in such an evolution,
yeah,
I would argue you're seeing a de-evolution in the south of Canada, in the United States.
what do you mean? What do you see?
The people who are coming out of the woodwork, the lifted the lid, that, like we're seeing. I was listening to this article, conversation. No, I was listening to a thing on the radio. They're saying it trumps America.
Right.
It's not Trump's America. That's America. We're seeing the real face of America with all these crazy racist hatred, violence against different.
It's what happens.
It's because he is not putting a lid on it, right? He's allowing for he himself is speaking so off the cuff and has wait.
But there's another side.
Just a second. He has no filter.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, he's awful when it comes to that.
So
I'm not a politician.
And he's not a politician, and that's exactly what they voted for,
right?
Or most people voted for. But because of that, it's creating an environment that allows other non-filters to speak up and come out.
Right.
And we're seeing that more and more with the types of people that are running for office in the various congressional races and governmental races and things like that. We're not seeing that really here.
You're not?
I don't think so. Not to that extent.
Do you remember we talked?
But hold on. No, okay. People are gonna be like, "Hello, did you see the last election and who just got voted in Ontario?" And I will argue.
Well, there's more to it, but yes.
I will argue that for sure. Listen, there's no question that Premier Ford is not exactly a squeaky clean model politician. And I'm not.
Find me one, and then I'll.
No, I don't know where that one is.
Uh-huh.
I haven't run for office yet.
Okay.
So.
You want my vote?
No.
Okay. Continue.
So, the point is that there is that fear that we're going to breed this, this environment for hate, and it comes out of the fear. It plays on the fears. That's what I'm getting at. It plays on the fears of the lone gunman, the isolated terror cell, the linked affiliations, the trips to here and there, the ability to speak, read or write, or whatever. And that's the problem, Ron. That's the other problem that needs to be addressed. I don't know what the answer is to that. I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it. I'm still forming an opinion on it truthfully. But I get what you're saying with the idea of there is something fundamentally wrong in our society, and we need to step up, and things need to change, and we do need to evolve, and we do need to, yes, we need to react, but we also do need to preempt. But I'm wondering what is the most effective way.
When you see that organizations here are raising money for terrorist organizations, mosques are talking about killing.
Yeah.
You know where? Right in my old neighborhood. Just on where? Bathurst and Rutherford, right? On Ner Israel, beautiful place. There's a nice mosque over there.
Right.
Sorry. Right. No, I'll talk about it, because inside that place they had a play where they were cutting like the heads of babies, like to show like what they would do to Jewish people or whatnot. This is happening here. We're not doing anything about it.
I don't know about that.
I will show you the footage, ladies and gentlemen. If you need some footage, if you want me to tell you, actually go on Google and find out. What exactly is happening around Toronto. We know what's happening. We're just choosing to ignore it. The truth is, I feel like, wow, we don't have much terrorism. We're probably doing a great job. No, we're just lucky. We're lucky that things are not happening. Because on a regular basis, while I was at York University, while I was working with all these pro-Israel organizations, while I was very, very involved, I would hear it on a regular basis. And now, again, I bring the Jews, and it's kind of like the poem, right? First they came for the communists, right? Then they came for the Jews, and then they came for me, and there was nobody there, right? And I feel like, look, these people in Danforth are that exact example. They didn't come for the Jews; they came for whoever, for the infidel, and the infidel is anybody else. And now people still say, "Ron, you're still speculating." Well, that's. I think slowly but surely the evidence is now more supporting my side than any of the other side, and maybe I'm putting a little bit of. Scare tactics out there, and that's because I have a little bit more information. Right? What did they say? The difference between a pessimist and an optimist? Pessimist is a little bit more information, and I feel I have a little bit more. It's not that I'm being pessimistic; it's because I know that how the papers work, the governments work. I know exactly, like the stuff they're trying to hide. They don't want to scare society. They don't want to instill fear. But at the same time, if you say something that's Islamophobic, you're going to be in trouble. You say something that's anti-gender, or one of those, you get in trouble. We're going to change the national anthem that we talked about the other day to appease. Yeah, they already did, to appease people. So like, if we can do all that for the sake of liberty and multiculturalism and all that, we need to be also open-minded to know that, hey, there are other problems that we need to tackle, and it can't just be only that. Now, don't get me wrong, the sex education that people are dealing with, with the new government in place, and everything else that's coming out, these are definitely issues we should be talking about. It, not a problem. But we cannot ignore this issue. We cannot allow people to have hate speech happening on a regular basis, because what it does is it motivates people like this fine gentleman from Danforth to go out and do what he did. And we're encouraging it, because if we see that we're doing nothing about it, it's going to get more people to do something. And this is my problem. This is where I stand. And to finish on that note, or at least maybe we can read some of the stuff that people are writing, since I can't see it. The goal of what is it I'm trying to do is I'm trying to raise awareness for people to understand we cannot continue living like this. And we cannot be naive and ignorant to the fact of things that are happening around us. It's not like some old story, we heard, like, Jewish people drinking the blood of Christians or something like that. This is not an old folktale or whatnot. We're talking about, now we're in the point where we can see everything online. We have newspapers. We have CNN that can broadcast, and Fox News, whoever you'd rather watch. And they show you exactly what's happening. And yet we still sit there like this and saying, nope, not happening here. Nope, I'm not like them. Nope, I'm not. Well, you know what? I would rather fight till the end and stand up again for what is wrong than to pretend that everything is completely okay. And I love Canada. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think that you put something out there where I love these freedoms, but I earn these freedoms. What I mean by that, I participate in society. I don't want to say model citizen, but I don't cause any problems. I never sat in jail. I never did harm to anybody. I pay my taxes. I stand up to the flag. I do all that stuff. So I'm not the example. But if somebody doesn't follow the rules, like in school or in any institution, there is a punishment that needs to be taking place. And everybody does that. Everybody. So to be like this open-minded, well, Europe was exactly that. They try to be that model. With the euro, with like everybody getting together, open borders come in. How is that serving them right now? Because the people that came there don't understand or follow or care about the rules of that country, because they came there with completely different objectives. They didn't come there for that freedom. They came to bring their stuff into those countries. Now, if you don't believe me, go travel. Go see it for yourself. Go into some of these cities to a point where how many people are leaving France? Citizens. The guy in London, who there is this a preacher who goes out and says, yeah, we're here to destroy. We're here to take over. Look at our numbers. And you're looking at it. You're literally seeing it in front of your eyes. Mm-hmm. That the mayor of London is Muslim. Now, I don't have a problem with that, but I'm saying we got to look at these things. We got to look at these trends. And I'm not anti the religion. He could be a really nice person. I have nothing bad to say about him specifically. But I'm saying there is something here that we need to be aware. And we cannot become another European country, because at that moment in time, we lose all those values and everything that we care about here in Canada.
Okay, Ron. Well, I hear what you're saying. I think it's not something we're going to solve tonight.
Oh, and I don't plan
to solve it. I appreciate you addressing it. I know it was important to you.
It's important to you. I'm fighting for you. And I want to tell you, I'm not doing it for me.
It's doing it for me.
No, because I'm not doing it for me, because what it does is it raises my blood pressure. Yes. I spend more time doing all this stuff.
Right.
I have to battle. This is not fun for me. But I feel like I have to do this. I must stand up. I have to go out and preach. I don't want to do it.
Right.
I wish I didn't have to have this discussion. After that happened, I was trying to look for nice videos, and I saw something nice about a homeless person that did some kindness, gave this lady who was stuck $20 for gas, and then she ended up raising
crowdfunding $300,000.
Yeah, that is amazing.
We'll talk about that next time.
These are the types of stories that I want to hear. Okay. This is the type of stuff I want to see.
Well, you tell us, folks, what are the kind of stuff that you want to see here on the Prickly Pear Show? We thank you for watching. This was not an easy conversation, and it's not over. And we certainly, probably, as Ron says, we'll probably have to revisit this from time to time. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you sharing very good insights and important conversation and starting that conversation. Audience, if you guys have anything, again, I know we've had some lag on our communication, but you can always, in the repost, put in the comments. We'll happily address and answer them. And again, we're on Sundays, Facebook Live at 9 o'clock. You can like us on Instagram, follow us there, Twitter.
You want to tell them? Yeah, there you go. Beautiful.
I can't get a word in with this guy.
I didn't speak for like a minute.
I know, it's weird. So I'm just going to take my time on wrapping this one up. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for following. Thank you for listening. Like and share the video. And again, any comments, any feedback, any questions, we're always here to poke the bear.
Well, again, we're following the trend of what really the show is supposed to do. We deal with topics that are not so, can I say, user friendly, or
sure,
they're harder to talk about, but at the same time,
especially when you're not allowed to speak up. Okay. Anyway, I get it. They are tough. And I appreciate it, and I applaud you for bringing the conversation to the front. It's important.
Action, people. That's what I want.
All right.
I want us action, not getting more police. I'm seeing some things there from your sister writing about having more police. That's not what I'm talking about. But and by the way, we wanted to talk about Big Brother. That could have been a really good conversation.
Well,
so maybe
next we'll
maybe
save
on Sunday?
for Sunday.
Yeah, and then we can kind of bring this back, but not to take an hour and a half of people's time.
Yeah, no.
We clearly went over.
No, it's okay.
I actually thought this was going to be a half-hour conversation. But then, as Ophir said, we played a little bit of good cop, bad cop. The way
that wasn't
sometimes
again,
perception
not the
is
intention. I think I just feel like we're having a conversation. Like I said, it merits to think about all the sides. I don't really give an opinion. I don't know entirely. I'm not sure. But I appreciate yours, and I thank you for sharing it.
And I appreciate you giving me a platform and asking questions and playing the other side. Because at the end of the day, this is all about dialogue, and that's how we're going to get somewhere, by having the conversation, by bringing it out, and not by stating my opinion, walking away, or calling somebody a name, and which clearly has happened.
Yeah, don't be a keyboard cowboy.
Yeah, if you want to be, a keyboard cowboy, a keyboard hero, a keyboard warrior, whatever it is, If you can't say this in my face or to my face, then don't say it at all, or have a discussion, and then maybe we can come to some sort of solution, because that's the reality.
Right.
But to call me racist and uneducated, that just to hurt my feelings for no reason, and I personally don't think I'm any of that, because I'm not. I'm talking about the bad people. I'm not talking about anyone specific. No, but I need people to understand that there's a complete difference, and you speak to many people that come here from Arab countries, and they'll tell you the same thing. Would they escape? They escape the radicalism.
We're going to escape this, though. We're gonna,
right? Okay.
I think so.
You're getting tired.
I'm just,
Of course, this was heavy.
This is tough. This was
tough.
heavy. This was heavy.
Okay.
But we appreciate you for watching, guys.
You want a massage after this? Is that...
Such a prick.
No, not me. There's a...
Nope. Anyways, that's all, folks. Thank you very much. We'll see you on Sunday, 9 o'clock.
The usual time. And please follow us.
Place.
And if you have something to say, we'd love to hear it.
Tell him.
Tell me.
Night, guys.